Hey y'all, my name is Nick Katkevich, and I'm an Katkevich, and I'm an organizer with a group called the FANG Collective. And first, I just want to address in the CRMC's report the demonstrated need for this facility. I don't know if that guy Mark's still here, who's worried about his gas prices going up. But what wasn't included or mentioned in the report was that on October 11th, the Environmental Defense Fund released a report that showed that Avangrid and Eversource utility companies in Connecticut and Massachusetts artificially inflated gas prices between 2014 and 2016. The Connecticut Public Utility Regulatory Authority has opened an investigation on this. The Massachusetts Attorney General has opened an investigation on this, and the Rhode Island PUC is looking into it to see where those investigations go. I'd also encourage everyone here, there's a class action lawsuit against these utility companies, open even for people that live in Rhode Island, by the law firm of Hagens Berman, that's doing a class action lawsuit against these utility companies. We hear time and time again from companies like National Grid that there's a gas shortage. They're using data from one winter from 2014. But these studies are showing that this gas shortage was artificially created by the utility companies using a purchasing scheme where they would put these huge orders in for gas on the pipeline and then cancel it at the last minute. And it disrupted the whole flow of gas on the pipeline. So it's really important that we look at those studies and not take National Grid's word that we need this to keep prices low. Because we know they don't care about keeping prices low. It's also my understanding that the commission has to look at cumulative impact. And I saw in the report, maybe I'll just encourage you all to go a little deeper. It sounds pretty benign that now the trucks don't have to drive it in, it's just going to come through a pipeline. So the gas, if this project's approved, will come from Spectra Energy's pipeline system that starts in Burrville, where communities have been resisting for 4 years, a toxic compressor station up there. So the cumulative impacts stretch that whole pipeline system, the impacts of fracking, and also right here in Rhode Island, what does that gas infrastructure look like? And it'll be coming down on that same pipeline system that, right near the pipeline that burst in the Port of Providence recently. So what does that look like, activating these older pipeline systems to bring in new gas? What does that look like for the compressor stations in Burrville and the other compressor stations along the pipeline route? I think it's also important to note that in DC District Court right now, Spectra's AIM pipeline expansion that was completed last year is under review. National Grid was a huge supporter of that. So the AIM pipeline was an expansion of that Spectra pipeline that would bring the gas to the LNG facility. And that's under review by District Court because what the utility companies are doing and the pipeline companies are proposing all these interconnected projects, but not measuring the cumulative impacts, which they have to do under federal law. And they're trying to do that again here by just saying this is just this one little project and it's not connected to the pipeline project that they supported before. So that's under review by DC District Court right now. I'd also really encourage you all to look at the cumulative impacts of more trucks. My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it could be up to 1,000 more diesel trucks a year. That's a 58% increase. And what does that look like in terms of the impacts on the roads? I don't know if y'all have talked to the Department of Transportation in the state of Rhode Island, maybe get an advisory opinion from them. What does it mean to have 1,000 extra trucks heading down that road that's already pretty heavily used? And also, what is the emissions, the diesel emissions? What are the impacts of those trucks on the community and people's health? And also, I know someone has made this clarification earlier, but just to say again, that when National Grid says our partners in Narragansett Electric and Boston Gas, our partners means 100% owned subsidiaries. That is, so National Grid owns those companies 100%. They're not partners, they're another part of their company under a different name. So I think that's a real important clarification when they say we have customers for National Grid's gas. Like I know Aaron said earlier, that just means we're selling it to ourselves, and that's the scheme. And I think that's a really important distinction, and I don't think National Grid's being fully transparent with y'all. The last thing I would just like to note, even though it wouldn't help, in the end, National Grid, when they first proposed this project, they proposed $80 million safety wall around the facility. But my understanding is once the permits for that got a little dicey, they just canceled that outright. So that's just another way to show that this company doesn't care about the people. They care about building this as quickly as possible so they can profit off of it themselves. And I just really encourage y'all to take a deeper look at those, and I encourage you not to grant the variance. Thank you.
Yeah!